welcome to the show. This evening we have the creative team behind Superguy, which is a creator-owned project that is currently funding on Kickstarter. So let me bring in the two guys and learn about them and their project.
Hey.
Hey, Chad.
Hey, how's it going?
Long time no see.
Um, well, before we get started, I just want to kind of say that I saw that this project being promoted on Threads and other social um, platforms, and it caught my eye, and I'm glad that we were able to you know get together and talk about it. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell us about your history as a comic book reader and a creator.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having us. So my name's Anthony Iannaccio. I'm the writer of Superguy. This is my first comic, and I've been a comic fan for a long time. I read, here and there when I was younger, but in high school I really got into comics. It's around 2008 or so. So like Civil War is happening at Marvel, and DC is doing Infinite Crisis. So those kind of books really had an impact on like my taste and like what I read. But also made me like a huge fan of the genre. And so here I am today with my first comic. So I have a lot of those comics to blame, I guess.
I'm Joey. I'm the artist, super guy. I'm pretty new to like the comic scene, relatively. Like I grew up reading like Archie comics and Calvin and Hobbes and like the Sunday funnies and all that stuff. But it wasn't until like not too long ago, a few years ago, I guess, when I started, getting more interested in like the main like Marvels and DCs and. I didn't really do a whole lot of comic drawing before until I don't know a few years ago. I guess I started doing some stuff on my own and like just little things for myself. And I do this weekly comic, single panel comic on Instagram with a buddy of mine called Quickies. It's basically like if the New York Times comics had a baby with the Far Side, which has been a lot of fun to do. And Anthony came to me with his idea for Superguy, and he'd seen my art, and like we were buddies, so he was like, "Hey, you want to do this?" And I was like, "This is awesome. Let's do this." And here we are.
Cool. So, what is Superguy, or who is Superguy, and kind of what are the inspirations behind it?
Sure. Yeah. Joey, why don't you go first? Because I feel like the art defines Superguy so much.
Oh boy. You're putting me on the spot here.
Oh, my bad.
Well, I mean, like Superguy as a character is a lot of fun to draw. He's like a superhero who is kind of like a lazy, like he doesn't really want to, not that he doesn't want to save the. Oh no, he doesn't really want to save the day. He just wants to get all the credit for saving the day. It's. How do I put this? I'm so bad at putting on this. Help me out here, Anthony.
I'll take over. I'll take it. So Superguy is he's a bit of a narcissist. He's definitely lazy. He definitely has powers, but he just doesn't like to use them. He'd rather not. He'd rather sit at home, eat some chips, eat a sandwich, just
watch some TV.
Yeah, he's just one of those kind of guys. He's purposely not. He's created not to be likable. We definitely want you to be rooting for Robot Guy in this story. He definitely has some influence or some roots with I don't know if you or any of your listeners or watchers are familiar with the game Ratchet and Clank, but there's a character in Ratchet and Clank called Captain Quark, and he's kind of like an archetype. He's not the archetype, but you'll see that sort of character across a lot of media. Maybe another example is from Futurama, Zap Brannigan, kind of like
Okay.
a brash, cocky. Yeah.
I was kind of, as from reading the previews, I was kind of getting that type of feel for the character.
Oh, nice. Perfect. Yeah. And that's exactly, and a lot of people are comparing the work and him to the Tick, which is great. And I totally see it. I was just not inspired by that. Let's say, like, I've never really read the Tick or watched the Tick. But I could definitely acknowledge that that's in there. So yeah, he's just like a lazy Superman, if you want to condense it into that.
With a beer belly.
With a beer belly, yeah.
Which you don't really see a lot in superheroes. Like they're always like, you know, ripped abs and very in shape, and Superguy, like he's got like the muscles, but he's, you know,
Yeah.
his abs are underneath a whole lot of padding.
Aren't all of ours.
Yeah.
So kind of, you know, how did he, you know, come into being, I guess, as an idea? It was something you wanted to kind of flesh out into a book.
So I was contacted by my friend Hunter for an anthology called Unknown Heroes. And this was the second volume of Unknown Heroes. The theme was superhero team up. He messaged me, and the story would be a 10-page one-shot around that theme, completely original. So that would actually be my first story in a comic. And I needed to hook up with an artist. So I knew Joey through a friend. Joey had done work for the podcast. He made our logo. He did that. He's done a bunch of cool art. And I just, again, he was talking about his Instagram. That's how I know a lot of his work too. And I knew anything I wanted to do would have a hint of humor in it. And I really felt from the beginning that Joey's art style lended itself to humor and comedy. And so I threw some ideas at him. And one of them being Superguy, and Superguy was the one that Joey also really latched onto, and we made a 10-page story from there. It got a lot of good reception from the people that read the anthology. It seemed like we were like the standout story, not to like brag or even like it just, even the creators were like, oh my God, everyone loves Superguy. So I started sending digital copies of Superguy. I might have sent you a 10-pager at some point. I've sent it to so many people online to just try to get the word out there, almost like a proof of concept. But, you know, the proof is right there. Like, we made a 10-page story. But, you know, after talking for not even that long, me and Joey were like, okay, we need to do more of this. We love the character. Joey loved working on it. So we decided to make a 28-page story to really bring Superguy to life, and here we are with this Kickstarter.
So besides Superguy and the robot, who is, I guess, who's the antagonist besides apparently himself?
Yeah, I guess Superguy kind of is his own antagonist. I mean, the first story was definitely like Superguy versus Robot Guy until Robot Guy gets reprogrammed, which I guess in a similar sense is this story, except the roles are kind of reversed in a way.
Yeah.
Or like you know, the title is Superguy, but like the main protagonist in this particular book is Robot Guy, who's like having his own character growth and existential, you know, questioning. Yeah, I guess that's.
Yeah, I mean, no, and that's a good, funny thing that Joey brought up, because I mentioned this before in another podcast with our friends, that it's almost as if, and obviously we made it, so I can't really say it's almost as if it's, but the comic is called Superguy, but yeah, Robot Guy is the main focus. It's almost like his focus was, just like it would be in the comic, taken away by Superguy. So like, yeah, he, like, Superguy is the main character of the story, but he's kind of the antagonist. And like Joey said, we're really going into the head of Robot Guy, and you know, Robot Guy wants to be a hero, but he's not respected by the public. He's not respected by Superguy. People don't see him the way he sees himself.
He's got a very complicated past.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously, yeah. So like, and that's also a good point, where this is issue 1 of Superguy. But we did do the one shot, and the one shot informs the first issue. We do try to, in the first issue, make sure we fill in those gaps if for whatever reason you haven't read the one shot. But as part of the Kickstarter, and anyone listening or anyone that messages us online, well, you get a free copy of the digital one shot that comes before this Kickstarter project. So you're not going to be lost no matter what. We'll give you that information. But I do stress that, like, the one shot does inform a lot of the story here. And it definitely fills in some gaps that might, you know, you might find yourself confused if you haven't read that, let's say.
So how was it, you know, bringing your creation to life, as a writer for this being your first book?
Um, a lot of it had to do like with the way Joey designed the characters, I guess. Like we had the idea of Superguy. I kind of had an idea of what I wanted him to look like, but not in the way that Joey created him, more like how I was describing before, those characters, Captain Quark, Zap Brannigan, but
More of a
like
vibe.
the vibe, right? And that vibe, like, was immediately I saw it. Superguy has the soul of those people and those characters, and it's almost like a back and forth. And I'm sure a lot of writers and artist teams talk about this, but like Robot Guy, Super Guy, the Prez, all the characters that Joey designed for the comic, definitely his art style informed the personality of the characters so much. Like, yes, I have lines that, characterize these characters, but like the way they look and the way their facial expressions are, even for Joey's art style, it's not like, it's not, it just matches the tone that I'm going for writing wise perfectly, and the story that I'm trying to write perfectly. And, it just, I don't want to say balances that. I think it just amplifies each other back and forth.
I agree.
So, uh, Joey, when you are working, do you work digitally? Do you work
Yeah.
traditionally, or is it a hybrid? Or
For this story, well, I guess, yeah, for both, pretty much 100% digital. I work on the Procreate on my iPad, from sketch to final lines and coloring and rendering. It makes it easy, because like you can manipulate and move things around to exactly where you need to get, and I don't have to worry about like erasing or, any kind of like like with ink and paper, once it's there, it's set, it's done. Like if you make a mistake, like either work with it or restart. Where this, digitally, you have complete freedom basically. Well, which I appreciate because I can work faster and a lot easier, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot.
and kind of, I know you've kind of touched on it already, but how about what was the creative process between the two of you? With Anthony, you were writing the script, Joey, you doing the art, um,
Mhm.
and all that. I mean, how and Joey, how was it going from like doing the single panel stuff that you do on Instagram to doing panels and pages and
It was a bit different, like with quickies, it's just the one panel a week, so which in itself gives its own challenges because you got to basically tell a whole story of the joke within one scene. Whereas with comics with like Super Guy, like you get a bit more time, so to speak, or more space. Um, but it was a lot of fun to kind of explore that and see like how best and most efficiently to like tell the story visually, but still being able to keep the confines within like each page, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I can't wait to hopefully do more Super Guy, depending on what the people think of the book. I think they're gonna like it. But yeah, as far as like the difference between the single and the multi-panel comics, that I don't know, it's they are different, but also kind of about the same as
Mhm.
far as just visual storytelling. Just you get more panels, so it's easier.
And what I liked about working with Joey, especially on this project, was just the way I wrote my script and then the way he paneled everything. We came to an agreement on how we wanted to work that out. Like me not giving like the utmost detail every time unless it really called for it, especially how to panel it. But the way I wrote the script, it's heavily comedy oriented. Also a lot of action, but a lot of scenes are just beat for beat. It's I have to structure the jokes a certain way because I want them to hit with page turns and panels and everything. But because that was there, I think Joey really saw that too and was able to panel it. Like, because again, a big part of the humor is how Joey panels it. the characters are reacting in real time to, you know, the things people are saying. So like we get these close-ups and things like that. So I like we were always on the same page, and like we would tell each other that all the time. Like we're agreeing on something or both coming up with the same idea for like what we wanted to do. So like it was such an easy creative process.
Yeah, and Anthony gave me a lot of freedom for the most part. Like in his script, it would there are a few parts where, like, you know, he'd be like, it needs to be like this, or like visually reference this. And I was like, I got it. But for the most part, it was, you know, lines, action lines, and then the rest was just up to me to figure out how to make it look. And like Anthony said, it was pretty much like spot on to how he was visualizing, which is pretty awesome. Pretty cool.
Now, moving to the Kickstarter, what are you guys offering, you know, for people to, you know, if they want to back your project?
Sure. So actually, I was so last minute on this. I got done finalizing everything earlier. I sent Joey the page to give it like a once through. But here we go. So you could get a digital edition if you don't, you know, we have a regular digital edition that's $5. If you don't want to get anything physical, we also have a digital deluxe edition for $10. That includes a lot of extras like pinups, a variant cover gallery, earlier character designs, and things like that. Just a bunch of extra pages. In terms of physical copies, we do have the regular the A cover, the main cover. That's $10, and then we have 3 variants right now. Each $13 each, and you can get those and the main cover in a pack together, or you could buy them separately. I have a lot of things set up for add-ons, so you can mix and match really whatever you want to get. Past that, we have a really cool story print from Brian Box Brown, a really great cartoonist, and he in his patented way, he did a one-pager for us that summarizes the one shot even further. So if you can't stomach 10 pages, you get 1 page and you could still kind of get the gist of the original story.
It's very well done. I was just looking at that earlier, and it's like this tells the whole story in like 6 or 8 panels. It's perfect.
And he's so good at that. Like he has so many comics where he does that, and I really recommend checking out Brian Box Brown if anyone listening or watching hasn't. What else? We got a sticker set. There's a lot of cool. The stickers are there's some from the one shot and a bunch from this new issue. And there's a bunch of cool poses of Robot Guy, and you won't get these stickers anywhere else, but I think when you see them, they'll be hard to resist because, again, Joey's character designs are just really fun.
It's true.
Joey made a Christmas card a while back, so we have a Christmas card we're offering in the Kickstarter. There's a limited quantity of Superguy one-shot ash cans that I was giving out at New York Comic-Con. There's probably only about 10 of those. I'm not sure how many I put up, but there's not a lot left. So from the beginning, that's going to be like not everyone could get that. There's only about 10 copies. Then we have some. We're working on it. So I co-host a podcast, Comics and Chronic, and with my co-host Jake and Cody and Joey, we're going to record Superguy the audio adventure. And that's going to be an audio version of the one shot, the 10 pager. So yet again, another way to get the backstory without, if you don't want to read the one shot for some reason, we're giving you a lot of options. But that's going to be a lot of fun. And then we have a couple of really special tiers. I know not everyone is going to go for these, but these are for like people that really want to support us or really want to have fun with this. So we have
all our diehard fans.
Really diehard. Yeah, these are, when you guys see the prices, I won't mention them here, but then you have to be diehard to really get these ones. But you could be a guest on Comics and Chronic. You know, we usually have a lot of guests, but here you get your own episode. Maybe you're not a comic creator. Maybe you're someone in my family or something that wants to get his way on the podcast or something. This is how you do it. We'll talk about anything with you, you know, to an extent, I guess. I guess we don't want like MAGA people. No MAGA signing up for that tier. You're not allowed on.
Well, I'm not buying that tier then. No. You know what I post, so you know that.
Yeah, no, exactly. I I ran a background check, so I knew this was a good show to come on. No. And then actually, me and Joey just decided on this today, or rather, Joey, for the next issue of Superguy, you could get drawn into it. Joey will draw you in his own style into Superguy, issue 2. Not this issue that you'll be backing, but the next issue that we're definitely going to be working on. Like there's already a script in progress. That's what everyone should know too. Not in progress. Like I literally sent Joey a script already, but we really want to like, kind of see how the Kickstarter goes, see how we're already getting great feedback, but I really want to see where this takes Superguy. And if, there's enough demand, we're going to move full steam ahead, but I just want to recalibrate, until like, so the campaign runs from March 20th to April 20th. And once that's done, because the comic also, I really want to stress this too. It's done. Joey finished every single page. He wrote it. He paneled it. He wrote it. He penciled it. He paneled it. He inked it. He colored it. He did the main cover. He lettered it. And it's all done. It's all done. So all we have to do is send it to the printer and everyone will get it in their hands in like a couple months. So we're ready to get this out in people's hands. We're ready to make the next issue. We have a lot of goodies on Kickstarter. So like at this point, I don't know what else to tell people. Like if Superguy hasn't like caught their eye, this is the month it has to, I guess.
And is this your first experience doing a Kickstarter campaign?
Oh yeah. Yep. I've backed a bunch, but this is definitely my first time doing one. And yeah, it's already stressful, but I'm buckling up.
How did I mean, you're obviously doing the PR, part of that, getting the word out. What else, what other, tips that you may have, picked up from other people? How are you kind of applying to make sure that this is a successful endeavor?
Well, one thing is like from the creation of the one shot till now, I've definitely tried. I've always tried to, but like really embed myself in the comic book community online and across social media. And honestly, with Blue Sky, like that kind of blew up for me a little bit. Like I just made a bunch of starter packs on Blue Sky, if you're familiar with that, and they were all filled with people from the comic book community, creators, writers, and writers, artists, anybody in the community that writes about comics or in comics, just anybody you could think of. And that got a lot of people, in my circle, I guess. And I was able to like kind of really, I don't know. I don't want to say having followers means you have an audience, because that's not true. That would be one thing I would say I learned for sure. Like followers doesn't equal audience at all. Like, and it's also like you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. It's just and not everyone following you is going to want to support you regardless. Not even all your friends are going to want to support you. It just, life doesn't work like that. But every day for like the past year or so, I've been maybe every other day, but more recently every day, just always posting about Superguy. Like you yourself said, you came across me on Threads, like I don't know what post it was. I know that sometimes I'll post for months and then someone that I know is following me for sure says, "Oh, you're doing a comic?" So you don't know where your posts go. You don't know who sees it, when they see it, how they see it. But I do kind of rely on it and think it still works for the most part. I think community is important when supporting comics, but also making your own. And like, it just kind of comes full circle. And I think that's the way a community thrives, I guess. We all kind of help each other. But like, I think like what made me feel confident is that I feel like the comic book community is just supportive in general. So, I felt good about this project going in. I'm still anxious as hell. Sure, probably by the way, I'm kind of talking manically, like you could hear it in my voice, but and then podcasting. I mean, like I said, I co-host a podcast, and I know how important that could be for creators. Just getting the word out with whatever audience you have. Your audience, Chad, is probably different from mine. There's probably definitely some overlap, but the same kind of people that like good comics. That's what I would say, and that's who we're looking for, because I stand by our comic, and I know Joey does too. Like we try to make a comic that's gonna make maybe not everyone laugh, but we want people to laugh when they read it. It might not be for you, but we really put all our heart and soul into it, I think. And I think more than anything, like, yes, getting the word out there by promoting it. I think just making a good comic gets people's eyes on it. You know what I mean? And Joey's art is, again, so unique. It's kind of hard not to be like, whoa, what's that? That's not, I don't see that in the big two. I don't see that in any indie book. You know what I mean? I just think, I just love Joey's art, and it drives this, you know?
So for you, what's the biggest or what's the hardest part about writing comedy? Because, it's especially on the page, it's sometimes hard to, get the joke to come across as you want to, or, you really don't know the audience, or so. What's the biggest challenge you find when trying to write the comedic parts of the book?
Honestly, like, I don't know. I don't want to be like, it wasn't hard at all. I just think like comedy is something I'm really good at writing. Like, if you told me to do stand up like tomorrow, it would probably suck. Like, me performing it is a different story, right? But I'm not confident about many things in my life, but I am confident about my own writing. And like, I have done stand up in the past. I've done a lot of sketch comedy. I'm just a fan of the genre from like a little kid. I would watch like the Marx Brothers with my grandpa, and I was just raised on like the Three Stooges and just like classic comedy my whole life. And my grandfather was just like the funniest dude I have still ever met in my life, like, and just naturally funny. And I don't know, I think I just have a little bit of that, and so when I write, it's easy to like transfer that. But I think, shutting up my ego for a hot second, like, Joey was my springboard for this, right? So I knew if a joke worked for sure if Joey liked it. And if he didn't, I wanted to rework it. That was really just my rule. And like, especially with this in the one shot, with other projects, I might have shown other people my work before it was released to kind of gauge them. But I find that when you show other people your writing and it's not done, this person's gonna like this and hate that, like A and hate B, but then this person is gonna like B and hate A, and then you don't know who do you trust? Like, you just kind of have to trust yourself. That's what happened for me here. Like, I just trusted myself, and I trusted Joey more than anything too, because your art, again, I'm just saying the same thing over and over, but like, this Superguy doesn't exist without you driving it with your art. So
Anthony.
that
It's
that
true.
really gave me all the confidence. I knew whatever I was writing, the art would bring it to life and make it work.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great script. Like, I don't know, I'm not a comedy writer or much of a writer to begin with, but like, reading it seems so like seamlessly like, oh yeah, like, of course this is the joke, like, duh, like, what else could it possibly be?
And me and Joey have a similar sense of humor too. Like, we send reels to each other back and forth. Like, we just laugh at similar things. So that made it even easier, like, and at the end of the day, I want to make myself laugh. If I found it funny, sometimes that's all that matters,
That's the important thing.
So, anything else that you wanted to mention about the Kickstarter? I also wanted to mention that I really love the variant cover, based off of the Green Lantern with the bugles on his fingers.
Oh yeah, that's my Irish cartoonist Billy Lahif. Yeah, first cover. Even Dominic Barlow's cover, the really cool action shot that Joey actually based a fight scene in the comic on. I think that's his first cover too. So like, I another thing with this project, like, I got artists together that, like, if I could lift anybody up with me, why not? Like, not that I'm getting lifted up anywhere, but if I could put something out there and help someone else put something else out there, then, I think I did my job. And then Ahmed Rafit's variant is also fucking amazing. I love every single variant, looks different and has a unique art style. And like, again, that just matches the entire comic with Joey's art style. But for the Kickstarter, I mean, I think we're just offering so many different options. I think it's just like a feast for your eyes. It's going to be hard to choose just one. And, that's because we have a bunch of talented people attached to this, I think, including myself.
Well, is there anything else that you wanted to mention about the project as we kind of wrap up here that maybe you didn't go over?
Yeah, I think
we
we covered it.
Covered it. Yeah.
We just want people to read it, you know, like that's success for us. Go out and read it and let us know what you thought about
enjoy
it.
Share it.
Laugh,
Yeah.
live, laugh, love.
Mostly laugh.
Oh, well then we'll wrap this up with if you want to do one last pitch for the campaign and where people can find your stuff out on the social webs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can find all my stuff on Instagram mostly. Joe Ryan is my handle there, and on Threads, Joe Ryan's Belt on Blue Sky. There's not a whole lot there, but there will be. That's my stuff.
I'm at Mr. Tony Nacho. Pretty much any social media site you're on, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, especially TikTok. I still have an account on Twitter, but I don't really use it. And I just want to say, like, anyone listening, if any of this did not convince you to check out Superguy, like I said, I will send you, message me, email me, I'll send you a free digital copy of the one shot. Plus, even if you go to the Kickstarter now, which is live, you'll see a 6-page preview. So we're giving you so much for free just so because we trust. I know I trust that the comic is just that good, and just a little bit you'll be wanting more.
Oh yeah.
And did you want to let people know about your podcast too?
Oh yeah, and you could definitely check me out every Thursday, sometimes 2 episodes a week. Comics and Chronic. We have comicsandchronic.com. We're comics, the letter N, Chronic across social media, mostly Instagram. And yeah, we're hitting episode 300, so we're going hard.
Oh,
and if you want to see
congratulations.
more of my artwork, Quickies Comics on Instagram. That's Quickie _ comic. And then you get to see more of my artwork, and it's great.
It is really great.
Well, I want to thank you guys for taking the time this evening to chat about the project, and I wish you the best of luck.
Of course,
Yeah,
thank
as
you.
as the project goes, goes through the campaign, and we'll be following it on our weekly crowdfunder corner over on comicwatch.com every Saturday at noon.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, it was a pleasure talking to you, and maybe we'll have you back when issue 2 is ready, and we'll see how this wrapped up and where Super Guy is going.
We'll be
Absolutely.
there in our fur coats.
All right, well, you guys have a good evening and take it easy.
You too,
Thank you,
man.
you too.
Thank you.